Good morning. It is Thursday the 13th, and today our daily lectionary takes us to Genesis 41. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon. And when he had shaved himself and changed his clothes, he came in before Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, I have had a dream, and there is no one who can interpret it. And I have heard it said of you that when you hear a dream, you can interpret it. Joseph answered Pharaoh, It is not in me. God will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, Behold, in my dream I was standing on the banks of the Nile, and 7 cows, fat and sleek, came up out of the Nile and fed in the reed grass. And 7 other cows came up after them, poor and very gaunt and thin, such as I had never seen in all the land of Egypt. And the thin and gaunt cows ate up the first 7 fat cows. But when they had eaten them, no one would have known that they had eaten them, for they were still as gaunt as at the beginning. Then I awoke. I also saw in my dream 7 ears growing on one stalk, full and good, and 7 ears withered thin and blighted by the east wind sprouted after them. And the thin ears swallowed up the 7 good ears. And I told it to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, The dream of Pharaoh is one. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dream is one. The 7 lean and gaunt cows that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blighted by the east wind are also 7 years of famine. It is as I told Pharaoh. God has shown to Pharaoh what he is about to do. There will come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt, but after them there will arise 7 years of famine, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt. The famine will consume the land, and the plenty will be unknown in the land by reason of that famine which will follow, for it will be very grievous. And the doubling of Pharaoh's dream means that the thing is fixed by God, and God will shortly bring it to pass. Now therefore let Pharaoh select a man discreet and wise, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh proceed to order overseers over the land, and take the 5th part of the produce of the land of Egypt during the 7 plenteous years. And let them gather all the food of these good years that are coming, and lay up grain under the authority of Pharaoh for food in the cities, and let them keep it. That food shall be a reserve for the land against the 7 years of famine, which are to befall the land of Egypt, so that the land may not perish through the famine. Well, it's a long reading, and it points out a couple of things that God expects of secular rulers. The first thing he expects is that they protect the innocent from the ruthless. That really doesn't apply here because we're not dealing with human actors, but with cataclysms in creation itself, the 7 years of famine. The second expectation God has of rulers is that they provide for the common good. And Pharaoh is enabled to do that by having revealed to him enough of the future that he can plan ahead and save up grain. Joseph, of course, is the instrument of that. It is God's providence being directed through Joseph, the Israelite, and God's providence will allow not only for many Egyptians to emerge from the famine and get their lives back, but God's providence will allow Israel, that is Jacob, to be brought down into Egypt. That's Joseph's father and his brothers, and that, of course, is a long cycle in the book of Exodus. But it will allow, in the book of Genesis, it will allow them to be brought down and preserved. God is always providing and taking care of us in the present. Indeed, the 7 billion humans that populate the world, they are fed by God's hand. Martin Luther put it so starkly when he said, if God were to withdraw his hand from you for 1 minute, you would dissolve into dust. That is God's sustaining power being described. And we thank God for creation, obviously, and we thank God for salvation, obviously. but for his providence, day by day, allowing that there be a way forward into the future, allowing that we can be preserved and have lives that we can enjoy and thank God for. Have a great day.